Shalom everyone, it's called Torah, it's Tuesday at noon. And today we're going to discuss Parashat Vayara. One of the most famous narratives that are in this parsha is the story of the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah, Sodom ve'Amorah. Sodom and Gomorrah basically created a structure of a society that was totally unkind and injustice. And Hashem was so upset with those two cities that he made a decision to destroy them. Nevertheless, Hashem said one of the most famous and fascinating verses in the Torah. "Hamechase ani me'Avraham et asher ani oseh." And I'm going to hide it from Avraham, what I'm about to do to those two cities, Sodom and Gomorrah. And Hashem said to himself, I am going to share it with Avraham, and I am being willing even to be challenged for my decision. And of course, Avraham challenged God. And he asked God, how can you kill a righteous person with a wicked person? Maybe there are 50 righteous people, maybe there are 45, 40, 35, 30, and we know the negotiation skills that Avraham had trying to convince God to please let them go, not to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. And we are all impressed by the courage, by the care, the commitment that Avraham had to humanity, knowing that Sodom and Gomorrah is not the most righteous places to be at, but still trying to advocate, trying to save those people. And we are in awe of the courage and the commitment that Avraham had to humanity, with no question about it. But I think there is one point, there is one idea that sometimes we miss. After this negotiation, and after Avraham's attempt to convince God not to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah, and in a way God was very patient with Avraham and allowed him to try to bring all the reasons of why not to. There is a sentence there, there is a verse there that I think has a tremendous message to us. It says, "Ve'Avraham shav limkomo." After the negotiation failed, after Avraham realized that there are not, unfortunately, not even 10 righteous people to save the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah, it says, and Avraham returned to his place. What does it mean? What does it teach us? Why do I care that Avraham went back to his place or didn't go to his place? Is that a geographical place or a different place? And I would like to suggest to you the following idea. In our lives, we are being challenged with tragedies, with things that we have all the questions in the world. It may be personal tragedies or personal challenges that we feel that maybe are unfair, maybe unkind to us, that we don't deserve it. On a national scale, we are all traumatized. We are all asking the questions of what's going on now in New York and many other places, Washington, Boston, and many other states that are now under this terrible tragedy of the storm. And we have all those questions to God. We would like to have this encounter with God like Avraham did. And in my opinion, we should. But there is need to be this maturity level that we may fail in our negotiation. That maybe our questions will not get exactly the answer that we want, or any answer at all. And then the question is, what's happened next? If we don't get the answer we wanted, or if we didn't get the answer we dreamt about, what do we do? What is our response? And I think Avraham is teaching us a tremendous lesson. Ve'Avraham shav limkomo. And Avraham went back to his place. What does it mean? It means that Avraham had this negotiation with God. He basically moved from his place. He was not just a regular human being. He went and he questioned God, God himself. He questioned God for his justice. He questioned God for his decision. He questioned God about his judgment to kill and to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. And after being elevated to be almost equal to God and questioning him, after he realized that God's ways are just and maybe we cannot even comprehend it, he went back to his place. He went back to become Abraham. He was willing to find some kind of a place and space for himself that allowed him to withdraw with tremendous respect to God. Maybe Abraham did not agree with God's decision. Maybe Abraham did not really comprehend why is he doing that? But he was able to go back to his place, knowing his place in the relationship between him and God. God invited him for judgment. God invited Abraham for a conversation between two friends. But after this conversation took place, again, those relationships between God and a human being came back to reality, and Abraham went back to his place. I think there is a very important message here. When we experience a difficult time, when we experience a challenge in our lives, personal lives or national life, I think we should encounter a conversation with God, talking to Him like I talk to you now, on the same playing field. But when we finish that conversation, we need to restructure our relationship with God and to go back to our place, to go back to the place that we began, to go to the place that formed the relationships between God and human beings. God invites us for this conversation because He knows that we care, because He knows that it bothers us. But we need to be mature enough to understand that sometimes we're not going to get an answer. Sometimes the answer that we receive is not exactly the answer we want, but the conversation continues. Thank you, and we will talk again next week.